Welcome. I am Sonia from Healing Point, and welcome to this new series, Flow of Life. This series forms part of the journey towards wisdom-inspired living, a way of meeting life with greater awareness, connection, and trust. In the previous series, Acknowledging Our Actions, we explored the importance of turning towards what is. Often, transformation does not begin when we try harder. It begins when we are willing to see, to acknowledge, to recognize the deeper movements that have shaped us. In this series, we take the next step. Once we acknowledge what is, we begin to explore what wants to move now, what happens when we stop standing against life, and what becomes possible when we connect with the deeper current that has always been carrying us. This is the invitation into the flow of life. The life that reached us. Before we explore what blocks the flow of life, we begin with something very simple, something so obvious that we often overlook it. We are here. Life reached us before we had a name. Think about it. Life reached you before you had a name. That's a long time ago in your life, isn't it? Before we had achievements, before we had opinions about ourselves or our family, before we decided what was good or bad about our story. Life arrived. And did you know it didn't begin with us? Traveled through generations, through many people whose names we may know, and many more whose names have disappeared with time. Through their choices, through their survival, through their courage, and through their struggles, through their ordinary everyday moments, something continued. And eventually, that movement became us. Think about it. From a systemic perspective, we recognize that each of us belongs to something much bigger than ourselves. We are not isolated individuals standing alone. We are part of a much greater story, a living system, a flow. So let's go and try and understand the flow of life. The flow of life is a natural movement of life passing forward from those who came before us to those who come after, like a river. The river does not start with the point we happen to be standing in. There was a source before us. There were many turns, many landscapes, many obstacles. Some parts flowed easily, and some parts moved through difficulty. Let's try and find an understanding for the flow of life. The flow of life is the natural movement of life passing forward from those who came before to those who come after, like a river. The river does not start with the point we happen to be standing in. There was a source before us. There were many turns, many landscapes, many obstacles, and some parts flowed easily, and some parts moved through difficulty. Yet, the river continued. In the same way, life continued through our family system. Sometimes through love, sometimes through loss, and sometimes through circumstances we would never have chosen. Yet, something stronger than all of those experiences remained. Life itself. And when we connect with this movement, we begin to discover that we are supported by more than our own effort. We carry not only the challenges of those who came before us, we also carry their strength, their creativity, their resilience, and yes, their wisdom. What happens when we resist the flow? Many people reach a point where they feel stuck. They may say, I keep repeating the same pattern. I do everything differently, yet somehow I end up in the same place. I've worked so hard on myself, but something still holds me back. From a systemic perspective, we become curious. We do not ask, what is wrong with me? We ask, what is asking to be seen? Because often, what interrupts the flow of life is something that has not yet found its rightful place. An experience that was too painful. A person who was forgotten. A loss that was never spoken about. A truth that was hidden. A burden that belonged to another generation but continued forward. Life naturally moves towards completion. What has been excluded seeks belonging. I want you just repeat this. What has been excluded seeks belonging. What has been ignored seeks acknowledgement. And what has been unresolved seeks peace. Rejecting the past can keep us connected to it. Yeah. The more we reject it, the more we connect to it. One of the great misunderstandings is that freedom comes from rejecting where we come from. We may think, I am nothing like my family. I left all that behind. My story begins with me. I have news for you. Sometimes these statements come from a very real pain. Sometimes creating distance was necessary. And sometimes it was part of survival. Yet, on a deeper systemic level, rejection does not always create freedom. Often, it creates another form of connection. Whatever we continue fighting remains active within us. The movement towards freedom is different. It's not what happened was okay. No, that is not what it is. It is, I acknowledge what happened. I see where I come from, and I recognize the life that came through the system. And now I turn towards my own life. These are important steps, and we will keep repeating them. I acknowledge what happened. I see where I come from, and I recognize the life that came through this system, which is your family system. And I now turn towards my own life. It is totally different to, I'm nothing like my family. I left all that behind. My story begins with me, because that is not possible. No matter how much you try. So let's look at taking life as it came. One of the most powerful systemic movements is the movement of receiving life. Not receiving the perfect childhood, not receiving the perfect parents, and not agreeing with everything that happened. But acknowledging life came through them. The not perfect parents, the not perfect childhood. The life itself, when it came through them, was complete. The circumstances around it may have been complicated. Many people wait unconsciously. They wait for the past to become different before they fully step into the present. Can't fix the past. You can't wait for the past to change. They wait for people to become who they needed them to be. They wait for recognition, for apologies, for explanations. And sometimes these moments come, but sometimes they do not. And then the deeper question becomes, can I still receive my own life? Can I allow myself to live fully? Not because everything behind me was perfect, but because life is still moving forward through me. Take a moment. And if you feel comfortable, maybe close your eyes. Notice yourself sitting here today and imagine behind you a long line of life. Your parents, behind them their parents, and generations before them. Many stories, many different experiences. Some you know, most you will never know. And in this moment, just recognize, for you to be here today, every generation before you had to survive long enough for life to continue. Whatever else happened, life reached you. And maybe simply notice these words. I acknowledge the life that came before me. I take the life that reached me, and I carry forward the wisdom. And I allow myself to live my own journey. Notice what happens inside. No forcing, no expectation, only awareness. Wisdom-inspired living begins when we change our relationship with life. Instead of asking, how do I control everything? We begin asking, how do I align with what life is showing me? Instead of, what is wrong with me? We ask, what wants to be understood? Instead of only seeing the wounds from the past, we also begin to see resources, strength, courage, wisdom, because the flow of life carries all of it. I want to repeat that. We also begin seeing resources, strength, courage, and wisdom, because the flow of life carries all of it. Thank you for joining me on this first conversation in the Flow of Life series. And today we explored the invisible current that carries us, the understanding that life did not begin with us, yet it continues through us. In the the next video, we will explore belonging, finding your place in the greater story. And we will look at why belonging is such a powerful systemic principle and how what has been excluded often continues to influence our lives until it is acknowledged. And as you move through your week, I invite you to reflect, where am I still fighting the source of my own life? And what changes when I recognize that I am supported by something much bigger than myself? I want to thank you for being here. And if you liked what you heard and you feel there's somebody that you would like to share it with, please do so. But I'd also encourage you to subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet, so that you can become aware of the continuation of this Flow of Life series that is just beginning today. May you continue moving with greater awareness, connection, and wisdom towards wisdom-inspired living. Until we meet again, be safe.